When someone answers my question like that about the world changed and every business was an opportunity and I had the chance to do whatever I wanted, I would still do what I do today, means that she has passion and she is dedicated to helping people within her business.
Welcome to the Art of Kaizen for Entrepreneurs, growing 1% everyday podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Art of Kaizen for Entrepreneurs podcast, where we get to discuss how to grow 1% every day in both business and itself. Today, we have Dr. Tracy Timberlake, a $1 million money mindset business coach who is helping individuals step fully into their 6- and 7-figure selves as entrepreneurs. Thank you, Dr. Timberlake, for joining us today.
Oh my God, thank you for having me. And you can just call me Tracy. You don't have to be so formal.
Classroom. That doctor label is hard to get. You gotta pick that up a little bit, but a good credibility to who you are. And I love how animated you are and your charisma. We got to talk a little bit before this all started, and kind of where your mindset is and where you're focusing on business. And it's such an incredible thing for you to be in the space where you're helping these coaches, these entrepreneurs really elevate their mindset, elevate their positioning, elevate themselves so that they can really find that revenue that they're looking for. So can you give me a little background on how this all started, kind of where the idea came from and where your expertise comes from?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to take you back about 12, 13 years ago. I actually started as a YouTuber. So, I was working in higher education. I was doing that thing there and I needed this creative outlet. I actually was there's some things that were happening in life and I realized that I needed to express creativity. And so I started a YouTube channel. I was just answering questions that I was getting in my real life. So people would say, oh, well, how do you, take care of your hair? Or, like what kind of lip gloss do you use? So I was one of that small community on YouTube at the time, because no one was on YouTube. It was like dancing cats and, babies in diapers. And but there was a small community of girls and we would talk about our hair and our makeup. And this was before the word influencer was a thing. And so I started that back in, I would say 2011, 2012. And then that kind of became something that I didn't realize it could become. I started a couple of years after that, I started getting brand deals. And that's when the word influencer became a thing. And I was like, oh, I can make money talking about things that I like or things in my life. I like this top. I like this mascara. And it really gave me an understanding of what personal branding truly was and the authenticity that comes with that. So fast forward a little bit, I was working with a lot of brands, still had my 9-to-5 job and was just exhausted because I felt like I had 2 jobs. And so I was like, I have to figure something out. Like I can't keep doing both. It was exhausting. And I loved what I was able to build online. So that's when I discovered the wonderful world of online coaching. And I was like, oh, well, I feel like this is what I've been doing this whole time. But you can actually get paid. Like, people were already asking me, how do you start a channel? How do you get confident talking? So that was my introduction into helping entrepreneurs or helping people who wanted to start YouTube channels, the majority of which were entrepreneurs. And I realized in doing that, oh, there's a whole other aspect to this other than just pointing a camera at yourself. You have to believe that you can do it. You have to show up confidently. You have to trust yourself to make different decisions. And that's sort of how it all started, is understanding the mindset that comes with being sort of a public figure on a platform and what comes with the growth aspect of that.
Love every aspect of that and kind of your progression to it. If you guys haven't seen it, we'll make sure we add her YouTube page in the description below. It is immense. You have a bunch of content on there. It all looks really good. But I really am curious, when you started helping people out, helping entrepreneurs, did you find that the biggest problem was their lack of self-confidence? Was it their lack of demeanor or their charisma on camera? Maybe they didn't know what to say or they didn't know how to present themselves. What was the biggest issue you saw across the board when you started helping these entrepreneurs?
All of it. Yes. I work with individuals who are very educated, very experienced, have a ton of information and education to offer. They've been doing it for a decade or more, right? Like they've been in industries where they've had to show up as leaders and they've managed people and they have all this great insight. But translating that into, a 10-minute video was so different than if they were speaking to, in a boardroom. So it was really helping them to understand, yes, the communication aspect of it and learning that. Number 2, when you're talking to a camera, it's an inanimate object. You're not talking to an actual person, but you still have to show up like the room is full, right? That's where a lot of people were failing, because they're like, but it feels so uncomfortable. Yes, it's going to feel uncomfortable the first time. I keep my first YouTube video up because I look uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like I look like I don't know what I'm doing. And I tell people the first video is the worst video you will make. It will always get better from there, but you have to be consistent. And so it was really helping them shift their mindset out of number one, this is a different environment, right? So you have to be able to translate what you normally do in a room of people onto camera. And that's a different skill set. And then number two, believing that somebody actually wants to hear what you have to say. That's where that self-confidence comes in because a lot of the times they were, well, what if nobody watches? What if nobody listens? Okay, well, what if they don't? Like that doesn't excuse you from having to show up for yourself because what if they do, right? Like what if you actually have something beneficial to say and people are excited. So helping them switch their mindset from the what ifs in a negative way to the what ifs in a positive way.
Oh, super proud. And not just being a coach for entrepreneurs, but psychology as well, to get
Mhm.
someone to break out of that mold and say it's okay to be a little weird. It's okay for it not to be perfect, right? I'm just like you. I have my first YouTube video on my YouTube page, and every time I watch it, I cringe really, really bad. But it's the same thing. As you do it more and more,
Right.
your charisma shines through. What you like about the process shines through, and your true individuality, who you are as a human being, really comes to light because that's where your comfort lies. So my question to you is: are you working with everybody? Who is the ideal consumer that comes in? Is it someone that is a serial entrepreneur that's absolutely crushing it, but that needs to get himself into the virtual space? Is it a brand new business or say a brand new coach that's coming in? Who's someone that walks through your front door and you're like, I'm absolutely going to crush this with this client?
Yeah, I actually think that this is a great question because there's a spectrum, right? So I have worked with everybody from new entrepreneurs who have come in, like I have an idea and don't know how to flesh it out, to I've worked with Grammy award winning celebrities and them wanting to rebrand themselves and change the perception of the public in their favor, right? So it's both of those. I would say the majority are people who, like I said, are very educated, very experienced, know exactly what they're called to do. Like they feel very called to being a public figure in a way, or being called to being a thought leader in their industry. That's the overwhelming majority of the people that I work with. And they are completely new at online entrepreneurship. They may have done it a little bit, off to the side. Like I said, presented at conferences because that was what their job required, but they've never done it under the umbrella of themselves. So they're stepping into this personal brand that they know they should be experiencing, but they just haven't done it yet. So that's the majority of the clients that I work with.
Oh, it's beautiful. And really allowing people to show themselves truly and actually online. So I got to ask, there's a lot of different companies that are either trying to motivate people to do this or they're helping people set up, say, video development or content creation or webinars. What makes you unique? What makes your company a bit different than everybody else in the market?
So I think part of it is the fact that I look for clients who feel very strongly called to do this. Like it's more than just, oh, this is a great way for me to make money or I want to leave my corporate job. This is no, I feel very divinely led to speak on this topic and be a key industry influencer in whatever discipline I'm in. So that's the first thing. And then secondly, because it's not just about the funnels and the money making. I always say like the money comes. Like if you are successful in your industry, you will like successful at a job, you'll probably be a successful entrepreneur in some capacity. It might take a little while because it's different, but the money aspect is less important. It's the identity aspect. And so I really help people understand who they are becoming as they are stepping into this new version of themselves. Like as they're elevating into this new space, who are they on the other side of it? And so that's why the mindset work and the internal work is so important.
Oh, that's very powerful. So not only are you paving the way for them to understand how to be confident in their own skin and get the content out there, but also what does that change in your business? How does it adapt? And for the entrepreneurs and business owners listening to this right now, it does change immensely. If you listen to any of like Alex Hormozi is a great example talking about how he 10x his content development for 2024 and what it did for his company and his business and his overall persona as a human being in the market. So Tracy here is helping people do that every single day and really putting people in the position to not only build that foundation, but to be able to flood the success of that content development back into your business. To have this story, to have this backline of starting off on YouTube. And like you said, you're talking about your hair, your makeup and your clothing, and then getting into a position where you're actually helping business owners evolve from the content development. You have to go through some trials, some tribulations, some failures throughout that process.
Okay.
Figure out where your confidence lies, your personal confidence and how to present to the client, right? So
Mhm.
Is there anything, a challenge or a failure that you can recall that maybe our listeners would resonate with or potentially change the way that you do business?
Yeah, so many. Actually, I just put up a YouTube video talking about this because I was like, here are 6 different failures, just to lay it all out there so that you know that it's you see a product of somebody who's been doing this for, over a decade. You don't see all the failures that come with it because that's not something that we often talk about. But for transparency's sake, yeah, there have been many. The biggest hump for myself and for a lot of other clients that I work with too is always going to be this technological piece. Like it's understanding that technology, one, is not a weapon formed against you, but also it's not always going to be working in your favor. So how do you adapt yourself for these technological advancements or technological failures that are occurring and you don't know what to do? It's again, it's the mindset shift of everything is not against you. Like you just have to learn a new skill set. And as we know, there's a saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And I just don't believe that. I think that you can teach people new things and we can all learn. But if we don't have a growth mindset, then we're going to stop ourselves dead in our tracks. So for me, one of the biggest hurdles is really understanding a lot of these technological things that I didn't have to know it before. Like who'd had to learn how to operate on every social media platform or understand, how to adapt things for different platforms or webinars, for example. How do you even do a webinar? What platform is the right thing? That's definitely one thing that I had to learn and something that I'm constantly talking to other clients about. The second thing I would definitely say is just learning how to trust myself. One of the things that I talked about in that video was that, I made a very large, hefty investment of like cash up front, close to $80,000 on an investment to think that it was going to teach me something that I didn't know how to do already in my business and lost all the money, had a terrible experience in that program. But what I learned from it was I actually know what I'm doing. Like I actually have to learn how to trust myself to operate the business that I've been called to operate and not put all of that trust in somebody external who has no idea what I'm doing.
Such a huge notion for a lot of the business owners and the entrepreneurs listening to this right now. That is a huge factor, what you just said. Finding the confidence in yourself, finding the confidence in what you do. I truly believe success is 4 pillars, right? Hard
Mm.
work, organization, perfectionist, and prudence, which is the ability to make the right decision, right? And once those 4 come into play, a lot of times business owners are looking and they know the right thing to do. They know they have to shoot video. They know they have to make content. They know all these things. And there's that fear, that feeling in the bottom of your gut that holds you back. And Tracy here is helping people overcome that fear and really get out there through her own experiences, right? What you just broke down is extremely powerful. And I kind of understand now, I have a good understanding of kind of where you came from, the development of what you're currently at, the businesses that you're working with. But the question remains, where is it going? Where do you see the future of coaching? Where do you see the future of your mentorship and your support for these businesses evolving over the years? Do you see new platforms coming out that you have to learn, like you just mentioned? Or do you believe that there's an evolution within the current platforms that are going to happen in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years?
Both and I think the platforms that we're using will continue to evolve. I also think there will be new emerging platforms that will require us to learn new skills, participate differently. As I'm looking at the market and where it is right now, I see a lot of people sort of getting very jaded with some short form content, and so they're wanting to go back to long form content, getting back to the YouTube videos. Lengthier and lengthier YouTube videos is what I'm seeing. Like people are posting 2-hour videos now on their channels and getting amazing results from that. I think podcasts and interviews like this, having these kinds of dialogues will continue to be very important in many different industries because you're hearing insights from people that you'd never necessarily be in the same room with, but you're getting a chance to learn from them in a different way. I think that in terms of the coaching industry, that's going to continue to grow a little bit differently. I think we're going to get back into some in-person type events. People are going to want more of that. I think we've maxed out on some virtual things after the pandemic and doing that. And we still have podcasts available to us, but I think people want that connection again. So being able to change and adapt how the industry works. I'm an introvert, which people don't believe me, but I'm like, no, I'm an introvert. Like I want to be at home all the time. But recognizing that my people exist not in my office at home, but outside there. So doing more of that, definitely more speaking engagements and things are on the horizon for just being able to connect with my audience. I think that we're going to continue to see things that we've seen, which is people publishing and people being able to create content in a way that really educates and motivates their audience. It's going to change, but it's going to stay the same all at once.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think the more in-person events are going to happen, they're already starting to happen. Events are selling higher ticket volumes. More people are going out, and honestly, me personally, as an entrepreneur that's doing this every single day, I want more in-person events.
Mm,
I think we all do. I think we want a better human connection.
yeah.
And that's a big thing about the development of you and your technology and where you sit in the current world. As you develop more and as more people develop content, then it becomes the quality of content. That's why
Mhm.
entrepreneurs and business owners listening to this right now, it's not just about getting yourself out there. It's finding that prudence is the right way to get yourself out there. That's why you have to connect with people like Dr. Tracy Timberlake to understand exactly what's the difference between just putting a video up and putting video up the right way. Right. So Tracy's super intelligent. You're on top of your stuff. You're on top of the trends. You understand how to get yourself out there. You're an introvert that shows charisma and attitude and get out on video like this.
We try.
Question to you is, how do you find your Kaizen? So for the business owners out there and everyone listening, Kaizen is a Japanese business philosophy that means to grow 1% every day in both business and in self. Personally, I am a nerd when it comes to these platforms. I'm in ad accounts every single day. That's my forte, is paid media, and I'm reading and absorbing podcasts. And I'm an athlete every single morning and every weekend, right? I'm working a lot. So that's how I find my personal balance as an individual. For you, Tracy, what do you do to find that ability to constantly progress you, your business, yourself every single day?
Same as you, I think, learning, and really being diligent at knowing the industry. I think so many people enter into wanting to be an entrepreneur, but they're not willing to learn their industry. And I'm a nerd too. I like to know the statistics, and I want to know the numbers, and I want to see new trends, and I want to see how we can participate or incorporate that in what our business model is. So learning is one. Definitely trying to not be the smartest person in the room. Trying to find as many people as possible who can give me new insights about myself, about the world. I also spend a great deal of time learning about other things, right? Like, I don't want to just be a one a one trick pony, so to speak, and only know this. Like, I am naturally a researcher. My dad gave me a set of encyclopedias for my birthday when I was 6, and I have never looked back. Like, I'm just always wanting to learn something new. And anytime I can get my hands on uh, something different that just stimulates the mind in a different way, pulls me out of business all the time, but helps me learn about, I don't care, whatever it is, whether it's astrology or whether it's the stock market, like something new, and learning something new has always been something that I value personally. It keeps me sane, keeps me balanced, and then just being active. I live in Miami, so I'm on the beach 2 or 3 times a week playing volleyball, just being out in nature, getting a chance to experience life away from the laptop is always a good thing to incorporate.
A true student of life. I love that.
Mhm.
Love that. Awesome. I have one last bonus question before we finish this up. So, have you ever heard of the book Atlas Shrugged?
I have not.
Okay, so super long book, extremely lengthy. I ask everybody on the podcast this question. It's one of my favorite questions.
Yeah.
Atlas Shrugged is a book that talks about how business owners, you, me, the entrepreneurs listening to this right now, we put the world on our shoulders. Without
Mm.
business, the world doesn't progress, right? So there's ideas out there, there's people that are working, but without ideas going into operations and operations going into systems and systems being used every single day, the world does not move forward. The book Atlas Shrugged talked about what would happen to the world if all of us business owners, you, me, the listeners here, just shrugged it off. We
Mm.
walked away from our businesses. All the entrepreneurs in the world stepped away from the company. So the restaurant, the brick and mortar buildings are still there. The improvement materials are still out there, but there is no business owners. If that happened today, Tracy, what would be the first business that you would start tomorrow?
Wow, such a great question. The if all that happened, everybody walked away, the first business, I think I would say I would start a business teaching people. I would do the same thing. I would teach people how to start businesses. I think I would do the exact same thing that I'm doing now.
That is incredible to hear, especially for the listeners, right? If you're a listener and you've listened to this podcast so far and you understand that you need to develop content and you have charisma and you feel that desire by internal through your own process or maybe even through God himself has possessed you to say, I need to get my content out there. I need to be front facing with my business, with my name and how I get out there. Contact Dr. Tracy Timberlake and connect with her to figure out the best way to move forward in getting the content out to the world to actually grow your company. When someone answers my question like that, of the world changed and every business was an opportunity and I had the chance to do whatever I wanted, I would still do what I do today, means that she has passion and she is dedicated to helping people within her business. So Dr. Tracy Timberlake, how would people find you? If they want to get connected with you, if they want to start this process, what's the easiest way for them to find you?
Yes. First of all, thank you for just the affirmations and confirmations that you've given during this time. Thank you so much for that. If anyone wants to find me, I'm Tracy Timberlake everywhere. So if you go to Tracy Timberlake on Instagram or YouTube, you can find me. Facebook. The website is drtracytimberlake.com. And I would love to hear from anybody.
Awesome. And I got to add this because she didn't. She's got a bunch of freebies, awesome content. Her YouTube is packed with videos. Her landing pages has a bunch of freebies that she's giving away. She is in the position to truly help you out. And if you're going to develop content, there's no better person to reach out to than Dr. Tracy Timberlake here. Thank you so much, Tracy. I appreciate your time. And listeners, if you've finished this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you on the next one.